Dude.
Live. Live.
We got the troopers in the car today, y'all. Woohoo! Ha ha! We're going to work. We're going. Really, we're going to the yummy. Welcome back to those who've joined us. Subscribe, like, share, all that good, lovely stuff. Yeah, aren't you guys proud of me? I've been doing this consecutively. Um, like a month now. Woohoo! Well, that too. Not just the gym. I'm talking about YouTube. So in conjunction, because I kind of like to link up the topics together. Yesterday was a great build sharing of thoughts on the book of Genesis. So if you missed, you can check that out. And today I kind of wanted to talk in connection with it. And we're going to see if the babies start talking while I'm talking. If I'm just going to see. So today I want to talk about how do you know? How do you know? Yesterday we talked about the the story of Adam and Eve. And it was centered around knowing. It was centered around knowing. Was it something wrong? It's centered around knowing. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. This is what this is all centered around. So if we continue this discussion and try to pull out some principles from it, it's centered around knowing. So that's the question, how do you know? This is why we can see, or we can deduce, that the first question that the Creator asked Adam and Eve, say, why did you hide? And the question was, I was naked, so I hid. And then it's like, who told you you were naked? Basically, how do you know that? Who told you that? How do you know? And so how do we know? Good morning, everybody. I'm going to check your comments. Just leave your comments, and when I stop, then I'll be able to take a look at it. But, So when you grow up as children, they say you have 5 senses, right? What are the 5 senses, babies? Your touch. How do you know things?
Your
sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste.
4 senses.
5 senses. So they say. Dum dum dum. They tell us that through seeing. That's why they say seeing is believing. If somebody says, well, how did you know? You said, I saw it myself. That means you're an eyewitness, like Eyewitness News. You saw it.
And said, I won't believe it till I see it.
Oh, some people say, I won't believe it till I see it. So that's one of the senses. That's one of the ways that we know information, through our sight. Okay? Now we can get into spiritual sight, but right now we're just going to stick in the physical. And then we heard hearing, which has to do with our ears. And it brings in information. And so we know because we say we heard it. We say, so we'll be having a conversation, somebody having a conversation, and then you remember something that you heard, right? And you'll be like, oh yeah, I heard that before. And that's a confirmation that you know of or know about a topic, a thing, because you heard it. If I say the Yummy Cottage, because we're going to the Yummy Cottage right now, and I'll be like, oh, the Yummy Cottage burger, the babies will be able to be like, yo, I know what that tastes like. Now, somebody on the internet who doesn't know what it tastes like, they can still say, I know, because they. The next way is our feeling. Touch things. So we know what polyester feels like. By the way, polyester. We know what polyester feels like because we felt it before. We know what applesauce feels like because we've touched it before. So it stores in our memory through our sensories what something smells like. We know what, is. But if you've never smelled it, even them describing it to you doesn't really do it much justice, although you would have a different level of knowing because you've heard. Somebody can come back from overseas in war in Iraq and they can explain it to you, but you don't really know. They'll say you don't really know. And this is where empathy comes in, compassion comes in, because you could kind of feel somebody's pain, but then they have this like walk a mile in my shoes. Like you don't really know. You think you know. We say stuff like that, right? You think you know, but you don't really know. We're talking about knowing. How do you know? It's important to say how do we know, because when we talk about history. Well, before I go there, let me give the dun 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 dun. Yes, my elf.
This is a coincidence because my homework is talking about senses right now.
Oh, that's a coincidence? Your homework is talking about sentence? What is it saying?
Sounds, smells, feels, tastes,
There you go.
and looks.
And there you go. Let me see it. My son is doing his homework in the backseat and tells me it's a coincidence. I didn't even know that this was what was up next, y'all. Hold on. Because again, they teach it to us as children. Leave something out. They're always leaving something out. They're always leaving something out. Y'all gotta wait till I get to a real red light.
I'll take forever. Mama, how long is the forever light?
But I'm gonna drive all the way around town trying to find a forever light.
Yeah.
How you guys doing this morning?
Oh, the forever light is insane. Yeah, but that's
I'm nowhere near the forever light is the light that takes forever to change. If you get stuck at that light, it's a wrap, man. It's like, yo, 5 minutes.
You can watch your whole Geronimo still and still be in the middle. I was not ready like that.
So, what was I saying now? They over here talking about forever light. Y'all made me forget. Oh, so the next way we know that this world, because science, the way in which you measure our physical reality only respects taste, touch, feel, to a certain degree. Something that you can measure, that you can quantify. That's what they respect. But you have two other senses that my father used to always likes to say. They say it's 5, but it's really 7. Like, I've been hearing all this stuff all my life. He actually said it the other day. They say it's 5, but it's really 7. And it really is 7. The next way we know things is intuition, right? The next way we know things is intuition. We know now that a lot of this intuition is within our DNA, what they call epigenetics. Maya, oh, here. Planning a poem. Oh, list words about your subject. Write words that tell what your subject looks like, sounds like, smells like, feels or tastes like. There it goes. Because that's his little homework book there. Because it's dealing with the senses, right? This is how you know. Because somebody's going to read this information. They're going to use their eyes or their ears to take this information in. And as a writer, the more you describe a scene, it allows the brain and the mind to actually be in that space. My daughter said to me, the reason why I like reading so much, what did you say, Shai? Is because I can be, in Australia and I can be surfing, and that's through the characters in the book. So if you write...
It's a cursive quote by Mason Cooley.
What does it say?
Reading gives us some place to go when we have to stay where we are.
She said, so Mason Cooley has a quote. It's like I little Moonas in the back. Reading gives us some place to go. Have to stay where we are. So the more you describe it, is the more people will be like, I smelled that. You made it palpable. You made it real. I could hear the baby crying, all this stuff like this. So this is going back to knowing. So the sixth one is about intuition. We know some of the intuition is within our genetics. A young child could get up and be predisposed towards something because genetically and epigenetically it's within their genes. You know what I mean? We know they call it epigenetics today, and it can be intuition, this internal guiding system that's gravitating you towards one thing or the next. And the next one is telepathy, where spiritually you're getting information transmitted to you, and through this transmission. For instance, the prophets in the Bible, the thought process is that spiritually you are getting information transmitted to you in the spiritual realm, and this is how you know. You know what I mean? How did you know that was gonna happen? I don't know. But here's the connection between knowing and this thought, as ye shall be as gods. The more that somebody knows is the more powerful. That's why they say knowledge is power in our space and time. To know in the eyes of their people is the more that person appears powerful. Because remember, in the Genesis account, It was the tree of knowledge of good and evil that the Nakash serpent is promising that's going to make ye as gods. So the connection of knowledge and this thought process of being as gods are connected. Right? I'm gonna pull up at the store in a little bit. I'm not gonna stay long today, y'all. But I just wanted to share some of that, because when we come into spaces where we don't know and we have prided ourselves on knowing this and knowing a whole lot of things, it becomes hard to say I don't know, because for some reason that thought is going to make the person lose some of their superpowers. You know what I mean? And then the next thing you know, with a mind like that is okay to say I don't know, like then they begin to substitute, they begin to make things up, they begin to embellish, they begin to invent things. And that person, when that type of personality is in a leadership position, it becomes problematic. Like you will have somebody who says, I don't know, and I'm going to go find out. I'm going to have a person who say I don't know, and they'll just make it up. That the matter is very, very dangerous. The more we look and the more you learn, the more you know how much you don't know. Away I go on with Mr. And that's what I found, because everything leads, every little thing door that you open, it leads to a whole nother room, and then there's another question, and that leads to a whole nother room. So there's a balancing act, because if you don't balance and you try to consume it all, like Solomon said, much study the weariness of the flesh. If it doesn't have an aim, like I spoke about yesterday, if it doesn't have a goal, objective, and a purpose, and you're just consuming knowledge, it will weigh you down, because you're not doing anything with it. It's like somebody like, this is my library, books of collection. You'd be like, wow. Then 50 on the shelf you never read. You know what I mean? The next 30% you don't even remember what it says. And the 100 million YouTube videos you watch, they all just jumbled together. Popo is gonna be out today, boy. Today and tomorrow. There go Popo. There go Popo. Popo is gonna be on the road. Y'all be careful out here. Yeah, so back to the knowing. Our ears, our sight, our hearing, our touch, our taste, our smell, our intuition, and telepathy is the way in which we know things. And someone else's account of something may be their primary source, but when we're reading it, it becomes a secondary source because we were not there. So you're getting it from a primary source, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what they're reporting is the 100% truth. This is another thing with history. With history, because a lot of times the victor gets to tell the tale, you don't know how much. It'll be like, yeah, we smashed and we did this, that, and that. You're not going to highlight. A lot of people, we tend to think that ancient people are just so different than modern people. When you read things, when you read articles, when you read accounts today, the story is slanted. So what makes you think that when they were doing these reliefs and doing these memorials, that they're going to tell you the full truth of what actually happened? We have to also take that into account, because sometimes we come across and be like, oh, I saw this. What happened? Huh? Marley? M-R-L-E-Y. M-A-R. A-M-A-R-L-E-Y. No, not two A's, only one A. Hold on, y'all. Hey, Sarai, what's going on? Sister Sarai, long time no see. I'm going to come check that thing in a minute. So, yeah. I'm not saying that, some people say take it with a grain of salt, because human behavior. For instance, I saw something yesterday and I wanted to come back and talk about it. So I was unwinding after a semi-long day yesterday. And I was looking at, I haven't seen it in a while, the History Channel. Was it the History Channel? It was the History Channel. National Geographic. See the memory? I had to go check. I'm like, History Channel, National Geographic, okay? And so they're doing this. This is weird. To hear them say this, it was weird to me. They were like the Black African kings. And my pops was standing there. I was like, why did they have to call them Black African kings? Did they have white African kings? I find the language now that there's an awakening. I find that the documentaries, because I'm a documentary person, and the language that's being used is real slippery, real tricky. Like, what was the need? Like, do they ever say the white European Julius Caesar? Like, you never hear. The assumption is that Julius Caesar was a European. You don't have to say the white European Julius Caesar. But because they projected Egypt as Europeans and this, that, and the third, and now people are waking up, they have to concede. But in doing so, they still kind of slighting it, like, I'm saying the black African kings because they were white African kings, perchance. I don't know. That's just the way my mind works. I thought it was weird. Anyway, so they was talking about King Tut. I don't want to park all the way over here. Hold on. Come on out, brother. This store is lit. Yesterday, this store had so many people in it. I just drove right past it. I came in the parking lot and then drove right out. It was crazy. Let me get closer here. Y'all know I come to my favorite store because I need me some tambourine.
Don't forget to pick up the things, mommy.
No, I already got the not the pimento.
No,
Are you coming out? Hmm?
The tangerine that's so sweet.
I don't know that they have tangerines right now, although it is citrus season. Yeah, we hardly get tangerines because tangerines most of them don't have no seeds. So
I have a mango.
in Florida, winter is when citrus. See the guy taking out all the
Tangerine.
no, he taking out all the oranges. Oh no, that's not the guy, that's a lady. Excuse me. No, brethren, nobody come teach me spot. Easy and hold yourself. You just come in. Have manners and behave yourself now. Good day. Your homegirl was rushing. Yo, yo, she came in like, yo, I'm just gonna get the spot. Like, stop it, dude. You have manners and let's be respectful here. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, made me. What was I saying? Oh, I'll come back and talk about that. I'll come back and talk about it because now I gotta run inside. Let me see what everybody's saying. Malaya, have a seat. What's going on here? Good morning. That video from yesterday was fire. You remind me of Master Teacher Nazir Ra, definitely on frequency. Haru, thank you. I'm not sure who that Master Teacher is, but thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for sharing on the 7 senses. Insight, yeah. The inner hearing, the telepathy, which is the inner hearing, and the intuition. Correct. Yep, driving safe. Always, sis. Always driving safe. Yeah, so it's just some things that we are struggling with. Why do I say all of that? Like, how do we know? Some things that we struggle with, it's important to take that thing out the closet or take it from wherever it is out of your mind and put it in front of you and then ask yourself, like, if this is the thing. And you'd be like, yo, how do I know? Because some things we may have fear attached to it. We may have insecurity attached to it, a thought, right? A process. We may have whatever we have attached to it. And you're like, well, where did I get this from? Where did I get that thought from? Where did I get the fear of hunger, being hungry, or the fear of being lonely? Where did I get that from? Where did I know that from? Where did I pick that up from? And then you may say, I picked it up from my childhood, or I picked it up from my teachers, or I picked it up from somebody, right? And then once you figure out how you know that, then you could begin to change the narrative of what you know about that thing. Like, for instance, I'll give a little example. When you watch television, okay, from back in the day, all of the family shows, you hear people talk about Brussels sprouts. Oh, I hate Brussels sprouts, right? So then somebody will be like, well, how do you know Brussels sprouts are nasty? You'll be like, oh, I remember a Roseanne episode. So you heard it through hearing of a fictional occurrence of somebody who behind the screen projected this thought that they don't like Brussels sprouts, so they wrote it into the script and they spread it all over the place. So you have a generation of people who may think that Brussels sprouts are the nastiest thing. Or you may have had a mother or father or family members who made Brussels sprouts in a way that was unappealing. So this is how you know Brussels sprouts are unappealing. Either you heard it, or you had it prepared for you and you didn't like it, or whatever the case may be. And then you grow up and you see this thing on the shelf and you say, by the way, I like Brussels sprouts. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. This is Brussels sprouts. And then it connects to a thought that somebody else had or a thought that you developed yourself. And then you have the ability to reprogram that thought by saying, hey, I'm going to try it a different way, or I'm going to make another recipe for it, or I'm going to do whatever. And now you have a new reality. I've seen it with old people because I'm cooking, right? So I'm out in the public, and I love this position because it gets to help people reprogram that knowing or what they thought they knew, right? And so I will have old people, and I mean, I'm in Florida, so you got some old people who's been set in a thought process or never had a chickpea. Or so the other day I went out, and then I'm gonna go. The other day I went out to do an event, and a lady was like, an old lady was like, what's that you have there? And I'm telling her, she's like, oh, but I don't like peppers, and I don't like this, and I don't like blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, you could just taste it. It's up to you. I never push it on nobody. Taste it if you want. You like it, whatever. She's like, but if I don't like it, it's gonna be in my mouth the whole way. This old lady, she had to be like in her 70s, 80s, yo. And I'm like, it's up to you. She says she'll taste it. I give it to her. I like it. Now she knows a different reality. Like Mikey, he likes it. Now she knows something else. Some people may think one way because of what they heard or what they saw, and then you introduce something positively. This is how we begin to replace negative thoughts, or we replace it with something that is positive. You know what I mean? And so now she has a new point of reference to refer to about what she thinks about X, Y, and Z. So then you may be more specific. I don't like it prepared like this, or I like it prepared like that. And then we don't no longer have to broad brush. I don't like Brussels sprouts. You may say, I don't like boiled Brussels sprouts. Or, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm just using Brussels sprouts as an example. I gotta run inside, y'all, because I got an order pickup today. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Sorry about, I'm about to cut this thing short right quick. Let me do the Florida for y'all right quick.
Mama, are we coming?
I gotta cut this thing short right quick because I'm finna run to the store. I'll be back. I don't know if it's later. We'll see, because I want to come and talk about what I saw on National Geographic, y'all. All right? All right, then. Everybody have a blessed day. And stay, y'all. They keep folly lolly bombing me all day. And then they think I'm rude because I don't respond. They folly lolly bomb me all day, y'all. All day in these streets. All right. All right, we'll be back.